If you are over 60, something is happening inside your body right now, whether you feel it or not. It is quiet, gradual, and often ignored, but it has the power to decide how long you live and how well you function in the years ahead. You may think the tiredness, the weakness, or the slower movement is just normal aging, but what is really happening is far more serious. You are not just losing energy, you are losing muscle, and that loss is shaping your future in ways most people never realize until it is too late. Muscle loss after 60 is not just about strength. It is about survival, independence, and the ability to live without constant fear of falling, illness, or dependence. What makes this even more alarming is how invisible the process is. Muscle loss does not announce itself with pain. It does not show up clearly on routine blood tests. It does not demand attention until the damage is already deep. Yet it determines whether you will move confidently into your 70 seconds or struggle with basic daily tasks. Science shows that the human body begins losing about 1% of its muscle every year starting around age 40. After 60, that rate often accelerates, sometimes doubling. This condition, known as sarcopenia, is now recognized by global health organizations as a major cause of disability in older adults. Despite this, most people are told to accept it as normal aging. That belief is wrong. This decline is not inevitable. It is a metabolic failure, and in many cases, it can be prevented or even reversed. Muscle is not just about lifting objects or maintaining appearance. It is one of the most powerful organs in the body. Muscle is the primary place where blood sugar is burned and regulated. When muscle mass drops, blood sugar control worsens. Research has shown that low muscle mass is a stronger predictor of early death than obesity. In fact, older adults with low muscle mass face a much higher risk of heart disease, even if their weight appears normal. When muscle disappears, independence goes with it. Each pound of muscle lost can reduce strength by several percent. That translates into slower walking, poorer balance, and a higher risk of falling. Falls remain one of the leading causes of injury-related death in people over 65. One fall can change everything. What is rarely discussed is how muscle loss affects the brain. Muscle tissue releases signaling compounds that protect cognitive function. When muscle mass declines, these protective signals decline as well. Studies link low muscle mass to faster cognitive decline and a higher risk of dementia. Weak muscles do not just weaken the body, they weaken the mind. At the same time, shrinking muscle disrupts metabolism. Muscle acts like a sponge for blood sugar. As it shrinks, sugar stays in the bloodstream longer, pushing the body toward insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes. This is why diabetes often appears later in life. It is not sudden. It is the result of years of silent muscle erosion. Inflammation adds another layer to the problem. Aging muscle becomes resistant to growth signals, a condition known as anabolic resistance. This means that even when older adults eat protein, their muscles do not respond the way they once did. Simply eating more protein often fails. The muscle is no longer listening. Hospitalization makes this worse. Just 10 days of bed rest can cause older adults to lose up to 5% of their muscle mass. Many never fully recover. This is why a minor illness can trigger long-term decline. But here is the turning point. Muscle loss after 60 is not a dead end. Studies show that muscle tissue remains responsive well into the 80 seconds and beyond when it receives the right signals. Age is not the problem. Missing signals are. Muscle responds to nutrients, hormones, and movement. When those signals disappear, muscle disappears. When they return, muscle can return too. This is not motivation. This is biology. And understanding that truth changes everything about aging. One of the most important discoveries in aging research is that muscle strength, not body weight, is one of the strongest predictors of survival in older adults. Studies show that people with stronger muscles live longer, regardless of whether they are thin or overweight. Muscle also protects bone health. Every muscle contraction sends a signal to bones to stay dense and strong. When muscle weakens, bones weaken too. This is why muscle loss and bone loss often appear together, creating a dangerous cycle that leads to fractures and shortened lifespan. Muscle loss also affects hormones. Reduced muscle mass lowers sensitivity to growth hormone and reduces the effectiveness of testosterone, even in women. This accelerates aging at a cellular level and damages mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside cells. Less energy means less repair and faster biological aging. Despite all of this, most people over 60 are never properly warned. They are told to slow down, to be careful, to accept weakness. But caution without correction leads to decline. The body adapts to what it is asked to do. Ask for less strength, and it delivers frailty. Ask for resilience, and it responds, even later in life. The tragedy is that muscle loss often begins years before symptoms appear. By the time fatigue or weakness becomes noticeable, a person may already have lost a third of their muscle mass. The body is not broken. It is undernourished, understimulated, and misunderstood. This brings us to a critical misunderstanding that affects millions of older adults. Most people believe muscle loss is simply the result of not eating enough protein, so they add more eggs, more meat, more shakes, and more powders. But after 60, the real issue is not how much protein you eat. It is how much protein your body can actually use. This misunderstanding quietly sabotages muscle health every single day. Aging changes digestion in ways few people are told about. Stomach acid levels drop significantly after 50. Up to 40% of adults over 60 have low stomach acid, which impairs protein digestion. Protein must be broken down into amino acids before muscles can use it. Without enough acid, this process fails. This creates a paradox. Older adults need more protein to maintain muscle, yet absorb less of it. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. The muscle becomes less responsive to protein signals. Animal proteins like eggs and meat are dense and complex. They require strong digestion, enzymes, and bile. Aging reduces all of these. This is why many older adults feel bloated or fatigued after high-protein meals. When digestion struggles, inflammation rises, and inflammation blocks muscle growth. Studies show that chronic inflammation interferes directly with muscle protein synthesis. Even if amino acids reach the bloodstream, inflamed muscle tissue may refuse to use them. Blood tests can show normal protein intake while muscles continue shrinking. That is because blood amino acid levels do not reflect muscle uptake. Muscle responds to many factors, including insulin sensitivity, inflammation, mitochondrial health, and gut function. Miss one of these, and muscle loss continues. Protein powders often fail because they do not fix digestion or inflammation. In some cases, they make things worse by increasing oxidative stress. Even leucine, often promoted as the key to muscle growth, cannot overcome anabolic resistance on its own. Older muscle needs a different strategy. This is where a surprising shift occurs. Research shows that certain plant-based protein sources perform better in older adults when digestion and inflammation are considered, not because they contain more protein, but because they improve the body's ability to use it. Muscle protein synthesis depends on insulin sensitivity. Aging increases insulin resistance long before blood sugar rises. In this state, eating more protein does little. Improving insulin sensitivity changes everything. This is why quality matters more than quantity after 60. Another factor quietly shaping muscle health is the gut. The gut microbiome changes with age, reducing beneficial bacteria involved in amino acid metabolism. Poor gut health means poor protein utilization and higher inflammation. Research now shows that certain plant compounds support gut bacteria that improve nutrient absorption and reduce systemic inflammation. Animal protein alone does not provide this support. Kidney signaling also plays a role. Aging kidneys become more sensitive to protein load, causing the body to downregulate protein utilization as a protective measure. Gentle, nutrient-dense protein sources are often better tolerated and more effectively used. Perhaps the most discouraging finding is that many older adults increase protein intake without improving absorption, and see no muscle gain, only more fatigue and digestive discomfort. This leads them to believe muscle loss is unavoidable. It is not. Muscle after 60 is not lazy. It is cautious. It demands the right conditions before it will grow, reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, support digestion, and suddenly smaller amounts of protein produce bigger results. This is why some people regain strength without drastic dietary changes while others struggle. For decades, muscle health has been treated as a numbers game. Grams of protein, ounces of meat, scoops of powder, but science has revealed something deeper. Muscle is governed by cellular switches and metabolic signals. And one humble vegetable has been shown to influence many of these pathways at once. Broccoli is often dismissed as just another green vegetable, but at the cellular level, it behaves like a metabolic regulator. Research shows that broccoli contains a rare combination of amino acids, antioxidants, and bioactive compounds that target the root causes of age-related muscle loss. One of the biggest enemies of aging muscle is chronic inflammation. As we age, the body enters a state of persistent, low-grade inflammation that slowly damages muscle tissue. Studies show this inflammation suppresses muscle protein synthesis, even when protein intake is sufficient. Broccoli contains sulforaphane, a compound that shuts down inflammatory gene expression at the cellular level. This means it does not just reduce symptoms, it addresses the source. Sulforaphane activates a pathway known as NRF2, often described as the master switch of cellular defense. When activated, cells boost antioxidant production and reduce oxidative stress, a major driver of muscle breakdown. Broccoli also supports mitochondrial health. Mitochondria decline with age, leading to fatigue and weakness. Research shows sulforaphane promotes mitochondrial biogenesis, helping the body create new and healthier mitochondria. More mitochondria mean more energy for muscle repair and movement. This is one reason populations that consume more cruciferous vegetables maintain better physical function with age. Insulin sensitivity is another key area. Muscle is the primary tissue responsible for clearing glucose from the blood. When insulin sensitivity improves, amino acids can enter muscle cells efficiently. Compounds in broccoli have been shown to improve glucose metabolism even in older adults. This transforms protein from passive nutrition into active muscle-building fuel. Muscle growth is regulated by a pathway known as mTOR. This pathway must be activated for muscle repair, but chronic overstimulation accelerates aging. Animal proteins strongly stimulate mTOR. Broccoli gently modulates it, supporting muscle maintenance without pushing aging pathways into overdrive. This balance is critical for older adults. Broccoli also provides a surprisingly effective protein profile. While it is not marketed as a high-protein food, it delivers usable amino acids alongside fiber and antioxidants that enhance protein utilization. Studies now show that how protein is used matters more than how much is consumed. Another overlooked aspect of muscle health is the role of muscle stem cells, known as satellite cells. These cells repair and regenerate muscle fibers. Aging and inflammation impair their function. Research suggests sulforaphane protects these cells from oxidative damage, preserving the body's ability to rebuild muscle. The gut connection cannot be ignored. Broccoli contains prebiotic fibers that feed beneficial gut bacteria, improving digestion and reducing inflammation. A healthier gut leads to better amino acid absorption and stronger muscle signaling. This chain reaction is often missed in traditional nutrition advice. Some of the most striking findings in nutritional science show that when older adults improve diet quality by increasing cruciferous vegetables, markers of muscle strength improve even without major increases in protein intake. Grip strength, balance, and walking speed all improve. These are predictors of survival, not cosmetic benefits. Broccoli sprouts amplify this effect. They contain significantly higher levels of sulforaphane than mature broccoli. In small amounts, they deliver powerful anti-inflammatory and protective signals. This is why researchers are exploring sulforaphane as a therapeutic tool for age-related muscle decline. What makes broccoli remarkable is synergy. It addresses inflammation, insulin resistance, mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress, and protein utilization at the same time. No single supplement does this. Muscle loss predicts loss of independence, increased hospitalization, and reduced lifespan. Yet, one of the most effective tools against it is inexpensive and widely available. Broccoli does not promise instant transformation. It offers something more valuable: biological cooperation. It creates an environment where aging muscle can survive and function. It does not replace eggs or meat. It fills a critical gap in how muscle health is understood. Protein builds muscle only when the environment allows it. Broccoli helps create that environment. When the environment changes, muscle changes. Strength returns gradually, stability improves. Energy rises. Not because of a miracle, but because biology is finally supported instead of overwhelmed. This shift in understanding forces a new way of thinking about aging. Instead of fighting the body with excess protein and harsh strategies, the goal becomes cooperation. Supporting digestion, calming inflammation, improving insulin sensitivity, and feeding the gut all restore the body's ability to respond. Muscle does not need extreme measures. It needs the right signals delivered consistently. Broccoli provides many of those signals in a form the aging body recognizes as safe and supportive. This is why some people regain strength without dramatically changing calories or routines. They restore function rather than chase numbers. They stop overwhelming the system and start working with it. Muscle responds quietly at first, then measurably, then powerfully. After 60, protein quantity is no longer the hero. Absorption and usability are. When absorption improves, muscle loss no longer feels like a life sentence. It becomes a problem with a solution grounded in science. Broccoli's role in muscle health challenges decades of oversimplified advice. It shows that food quality and biological context matter more than isolated nutrients. It reminds us that aging is not just about decline, but about adaptation. Muscle can still respond, still rebuild, still protect independence when given the right conditions. This understanding changes how we eat, how we move, and how we think about growing older. In the fight against muscle loss after 60, broccoli is not a side dish. It is a strategy. It does not replace traditional protein sources, but it makes them work better. It reduces the barriers that prevent muscle from responding. It supports the systems that protein alone cannot fix. When used consistently, it becomes a daily intervention against frailty. Muscle is the currency of aging well. It determines whether later years are lived with confidence or caution. Understanding how to protect muscle means understanding that aging bodies need smarter support, not more force. Broccoli represents that smarter approach. It is affordable, accessible, and backed by growing scientific evidence. The real takeaway is simple. Muscle loss after 60 is dangerous, but it is not inevitable. It is reversible when biology is respected. When inflammation is reduced, digestion is supported, insulin sensitivity is restored, and cellular defenses are activated, muscle responds, strength returns, stability improves, independence lasts longer. This is not about vanity. It is about standing up without assistance, walking without fear, and living without constant dependence. When you understand the role of muscle and how to protect it, everything about aging changes. And sometimes, the most powerful solutions are not found in supplements or extremes, but in understanding what food can do when science and biology align.